In this video I'm going to show you how you can use effect plugins in Garageband for iPad. Effect plugins shape and enhance your music in various ways, adding familiar sounds to popular music. You can use multiple plugins on each track and change their order as well. Plugins include reverb, compressors, delays and more. There's so many different types of effects and we'll go through some of these in this video today. You've got bit crusher, compressor, delay, distortion, EQ, so many more. So to view the plugins then, what you need to do is you have a project open and simply you just do this. You just select either the track you want to be able to put the plugin on and you tap the track settings. And then underneath here you'll see plugins and EQ. And if you tap plugins and EQ, you'll see for this particular instrument you have got a couple of options. So you've got the compressor here, which adjusts the volume to smooth out level changes, adding punch and definition. And you've also got the visual EQ or equalizer, and that adjusts the level of selected frequencies, allowing for subtle or dramatic changes. And these are color coded, so you can then just tap and drag and then change the frequencies of each of these as much as you want to. These require good headphones to be able to hear the changes that you're making, or really good monitoring speakers if they're plugged into such a thing. In a classroom situation, you'll probably find that headphones will be the optimum use for those who wanted to go and dive a bit deeper into visual EQ. Click done to close these down. And what you do then is if you ever want to edit these plugins, what you do is you tap the edit, and then what you do is you tap the add plugin button. So it's basically an empty slot with a green plus button next to it. And then you get all of these options down here. And there's also options for audio unit extensions, but we're going to come on to that in a bit later on. So what we're going to do is we're going to add one of these. I'm going to maybe add a chorus. And so chorus gives you the intensity and the rate. And again, what you do is you just have a listen and just monitor that particular track. Listen to how that changes that track. So once you've selected your plugin, you can minimize these then by tapping edit. You can then tap and drag these to reorder them. And as you can see, compressor and visual EQ do not have delete buttons next to them. These are standard plugins for this particular instrument, but you can delete the chorus one. And then you can also add in some more as well. So say I wanted to make a more distorted sound, you can have up to 4 in this particular instance. You can then change the parameters of that particular plugin and then have a listen to how it sounds. On the left hand side of each plugin is the on off button, much like a power button. You can see at the moment compressor's switched off and all the others are switched on. So if you want to adjust the settings of the plugin, what you do then is you tap on the plugin you want to effect the change to. So let's have a look at chorus and let's just play the track. And you can hear as I was changing the plugin for chorus, you could hear the change to the guitar just then. So that's basically what you do. You can monitor what you do and then change these effects accordingly. Be aware though that if any plugins and EQ you use will add up the potential for file size, and also not all iPads, if they do not have these installed, may not be able to play the track back properly. So make sure that you have managed to get any plugin that you wanted to from the store. So then, opening the visual EQ. So the visual EQ, you just tap and it has this lovely little interface here that's color coded. And then what you do is you just tap a colored puck for an EQ band and then drag them up and down to change a level. So usually from left to right, as is color coded on the screen, you can see here you've got the bass, which you can see here will change the frequency and the gain. The higher the gain, the louder it will be. And the lower the gain, the less frequency that will be. Mid as well, same for this, and then treble too. So you can hear the changes that were happening just then. There's no undo feature with the visual EQ, so what you would have to do is if you wanted to bring it back to the standard sound, you would either just drag the dots back to where they were, or if you really were not happy with it, what you could do is just tap done and just tap the power button of the visual EQ off. And then what you could then do is you could just reset it that way. On the bottom left of the visual EQ is something called Analyzer. If you can see here when it's switched on, you'll see that this highlights this here when you play the instrument. you get a waveform shape, and that waveform shape will be affected when you change the parameters of the visual EQ. So you can see that as the waveform changes, as I'm changing those different frequencies from bass, mid and treble. So the analyzer is really good if you want to get really granular into that as well. Once you've finished adjusting, you just tap done on the top right hand side. Remember, you cannot delete visual EQ, so if you make a mistake or if it doesn't sound great, then you would just have to switch it off and then leave it as such. So you can only edit the ones you have added. The visual EQ is added as standard along with the compressor. Removing a plugin, press edit and then remove by tapping on the little minus button on the left, and then deleting those until you've got those free spaces again. To enable audio unit extensions then, what you need to do is you need to close down Garageband, and then we will also be going into the settings app. Scroll down and then find Garageband. Once you've found Garageband, make sure that you can go over to the right hand side and find where you can turn on the option enable Apple designed audio unit extensions. So enable Apple designed audio unit extensions, and this you have to switch on to make Apple AUE available to your GarageBand projects. Once you've done that, reopen GarageBand. When you come to have a look at the information here, we go into plugins and EQ. You'll be able to go into edit and add. You can then click on audio unit extensions here, and you'll see that underneath this list will be so many more that they are available. Now these are usually available for Logic and the standard GarageBand in desktop, and these will give you even more granular control. You could add a delay, so let's try the delay, and you can see the audio unit delay appears here. If you tap on it, you can see then you have got Apple delay, and then you just feature and do exactly the same. And you can see it's added a delay. Now obviously that might be too much for you, so you can change the parameters here and just have a little bit of a play, and you can then opt to have it displayed in two different ways depending on how you want to interact with it. So that is Apple delay, and you can go into presets in the bottom left, and then obviously here there aren't any because we haven't saved any. And then in the bottom right we can go into a different view to get more granular detail about how dry and wet you want it. The delay time, which obviously you heard it was quite a long time, 1 second, we could just turn that down to maybe half a second, and you just have a bit of a play and see how you go. But if you're not sure about these, then don't worry too much about it. It's just an additional thing, and these are optional. I think for your students, especially in Key Stage 2, this will probably not be as relevant for them, but you'll never know. There's always a young person who has been having a little bit of a go of using digital audio and tweaking waveforms at home, especially in year 5 and 6. So you never know, there may just be somebody who wants to just have a go using that. So it's good to have a bit of an overview as to where to access these should anyone ask. So thank you very much for watching this one. I'll see you in the next one.